Good evening, everyone. On this St. Patty's Day, welcome to our City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, could you please read the roll?
Mr. Bozen?
Here.
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Ms. Creighton-Smith? Mr. Childs?
Here.
Mr. Simon?
Here.
Ms. Wilder?
Here.
Mr. Foyce?
Here.
All right, and Councilwoman Creighton-Smith informed me that she wouldn't be here. So could you all join me in a moment of silence? All right, thank you. The pledge will be led by Ward 3 Councilmember Nia Wilder.
We all join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance.
Mr. Mayor?
Sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as proposed, as well as the approval of minutes of the March 3rd, 2025 regular session and the March 3rd, 2025 work session as proposed.
Second.
The motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. The first item on tonight's agenda is public comments. If you have non-agenda related items, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and let us know your
Mary
thoughts.
Potter, I'm a trustee at the Grout, and my address is 1416 West 4th Street. I'm coming to you tonight because there is a real need in this community to have some people thinking about the levy that has been cut for the Grout Museum. It is facing a gap in funding, and so they're having to do a lot of cutting there, and we don't need to have that. The legislature originally passed House File 718, and it consolidated the culture and scientific facility levy with several other levies and set a maximum levy rate that the cities are allowed to collect. The voters of Waterloo passed the cultural and scientific facilities levy in 2015, in which 27 cents per $1,000 value on property taxes was designated. The voters of Waterloo passed this levy in 2015. It was designated to support the Grout Museum District. Now this has been eliminated, and the money collected goes to the general fund for the city. Waterloo's city budget now determines what, if any, portion of the funding that Grout would receive. And this is you people I'm talking to. This change has already negatively impacted the museum's operations. The levy had supplied an average of $660,000 annually, which was roughly 40% of the budget. Those funds were used to cover utilities, general maintenance, and overhead expenses that are not typically funded through any other revenue stream. This meant cutting hours and even some staff. Funding supports growth in programs and capital improvements that must now be diverted to meet overhead. And here's what I'd like to say to you, council people. You're working for the city of Waterloo, and we have some things that are attracting people to come in from outside the community that give us hotel money, that give us restaurants have funds, many different things like that. And since you really are the people that govern what we have and what we can do, I think it kind of behooves you to think strongly in this. There are 3 people in this whole place up here that have memberships in the Grout. The Grout for a single person is $75. Right now they're having a grandparent thing, and that is going to be on sale for $95. And this is for grandparents and grandchildren. And this is something I think, they have on TV all the time. For 16 cents a month, you can support this. If you people would think about $75 and divide it by 12 and consider that important to your city, I think that's the very least that can happen. And I would hope that some of you will buy a membership or support the Grout, even financially with some kind of dollar amount. And this is greatly going to help a very important part of our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carol Bartles. I live at 313 Westbourne Road in Waterloo. My thing is, since they're tearing crossroads and stuff all down, let's get a skating rink in this town, a roller skating rink. I think that would be draw people here. A lot of people love to roller skate. I know they used to have Skates Alive and all of that, and I used to take my kids there, and they loved it. So just to consider the roller skating rink. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that is one of our most popular requests. So, yeah, it's a request, but most cities don't own skating rinks or Skates Alive. But what we did do, we just finished Gates Park. It has a skating rink around it. And then also Leisure Services had worked on Exchange Park, and there's an outdoor skating rink on there. So there's two of them that we had within the last 5 years that we didn't have before. And you're right about trying to see out there who wants to create one indoor.
So people can go anytime
Yeah.
they want.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Aaron Stacy Roberts, 411 Almond. What I'm back again about is due process. In the case MHO that I got for coming to the Waterloo Police and Mayor to express my concerns about corruption, Kellyanne LaCarr completely denied my civil rights to due process. The attorney, Nina Forsay, absolutely dropped the ball. Didn't see me till after I had served 5 days in the nut house. I want to move on into also being denied due process in ESPRO, which is 109 acres of farmland that I didn't even get. We didn't get fair market value on 109 acres. We got less than $300,000 for worth over $1 million worth of land, which the neighbor would have bought because he wanted it before my grandfather got it during the late 30s. In that same case, and I'm going to say what it took to get that done. Dereliction of duty, intentional wrongdoing, and willful wanton misconduct, not just by Kellyanne LaCarr, but that's when David Odekirk, Judge David Odekirk, became a part of it. And before it was able to be sold, the Honorable Andrea Dreyer had ordered that my Aunt Janet bring all the money in so the heirs could get their part of the money that had been made off the farm. The next, she had to bring in an account for everything. The next thing Kellyanne LaCarr did was allow James Wagner, a known crook, as an attorney to have the farm sold. Through the process of selling the farm, David Odekirk also did not acknowledge that over 56 pages should have been added to the file, and each one of them should have had a signature on it from 26 heirs. Once I noticed that and the farm was sold, I filed with the Commission on Judicial Qualification, and that would have been 1 of 2019, right after the farm was sold. On 5/15 of 2019, David Odekirk became the judge in a case EQ CV 13-5166, Reed Roberts versus Aaron Stacy Roberts over 411 Almond Street, in which he immediately started retaliating on me for filing on him. In that, I had the property, when I got the property, it was in 2007, I had to save it from the tax auction, paid the next 17 years worth of taxes, and I'm out of time and I hate it. I'll be back next month.
My name is Thomas Anderson. I was born and raised here in Waterloo. I live at 711 Sherman Avenue. I have a problem with the discrimination of going on here in Waterloo, Iowa. I used to work at John Deere's. I worked 31 years there, 10 years as supervisor in the machine shop and the gear division. I was wanting to get some of these empty buildings that you've been tearing down, but due to the fact that Don T-Meyer says, no, we're going to tear it down, and I was flatly outright says no. So I was going to do just what you wanted to do. I was going to make a section of it for skating. Then I have machine shopping for NC machines and stuff like that. I did grass cutting for the city of Waterloo for 6 years, and seemed like the city wasn't satisfied with the fact that I'm trying to move up in the business world. So what did they do? They come out and take pictures of my trailers on my lot, not having tags on it. I buy my tags in February and put my tags on the trailers, trucks, before I take them out. They're on the lot, locked up. Now, they says I should have tags on there in the wintertime. So I'd have to open the gates with 2 feet of snow piled up against it. I don't do that. Now, also, I'm out there blowing snow off of my sidewalks and so forth. Here comes a code enforcement, comes up, 2 guys get out, and I said, what are you doing? We were told to come out here and blow the snow off. I'm blowing the snow off my own driveway, my own sidewalk. They gave me a citation. I got plenty of citations, and I'm not going to be paying them because I cannot get an attorney to represent me against these things that you're doing that are against the law. You're taking my business and everything, and so therefore I have a complaint, and I will not be doing that. If here is something I think that black folks here in the city of Waterloo and the city of Iowa, you say here, you're not going to be able to, well, I got my times up, but anyway, you're not doing anything for here. Used to have fishing down the lagoon down the Cedar River. You don't do that for the kids anymore.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Whitney Rissy. I'm a Waterloo resident. The last time I stood here, it was traumatic for me. I spoke passionately about an issue because kids were dying, and instead of being heard, I was called an extremist, I was called aggressive, and even one of you texting my employer, now my ex-employer, to insult me and my family. So tonight, I've come to speak calmly, and maybe that will help you listen. To the public and to those watching online, I emailed this council, the mayor, the city marketing, about steps Waterloo could take to make the city safer for trans individuals. Because less than a month ago, our state stripped civil liberties from trans people. And I know some of you stopped listening as soon as I used the word trans, so let me say it again. Our state decided that people who live here, work here, pay taxes here, don't deserve the same protections as the rest of us. And that should terrify you. Terrifies me. I asked Waterloo what Waterloo could do to take a stand, and I heard back from 2 people. One whom, through mutuals, I have a relationship with, and suggested educational events, and I agree. Let's do that. Let's do something, and let's take actual steps beyond that. The other sent a pretty passive-aggressive email telling me that we're all equal, which is rich considering the state of this country, especially in 2025, and especially in Iowa. No one is actually equal here. One of my suggestions was for Waterloo to become a sanctuary city. And I know our sweet, that was sarcastic, governor banned it for immigrants in 2018, but I also know that in 2020, city leaders that are sitting up here discussed making Waterloo a sanctuary city for other marginalized groups. Then silence. Why? Waterloo doesn't feel safe for many people. I, as an LGBTQ member, don't feel safe living here. And when those people come here asking for change, asking for help, or even just asking for a response, most of the time you're silent or absent. I recently watched a congressional hearing where they called in mayors who created sanctuary cities, and this incredible mayor, woman, obviously, from Boston, took a stand to defend her city's sanctuary status. She said, elections have consequences. Cities may not be able to change everything, but we can protect our residents in every possible way that we can. So I ask you, are you really doing your part? People, especially people here who make this place so diverse, hashtag diversity is our strength, won't want to live in a city that won't stand up for them. New buildings and sports facilities will be awesome, but it won't change that every day rights and funding, like the Grout Museum, access are being stripped away. What is Waterloo doing about it? Name them, post them, declare them, make policy for them. Election season is coming and constituents are waking up to what's going on, and they're looking for leaders who will stand for something, anything. The last meeting, you said leaders should lead by example. So my question is, what examples are we setting? Because right now, it looks like silence, it looks like ghosting, and we want answers. I'll leave you with a quote from Alexander Hamilton, an immigrant, whose face is on our $10 bill. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Thank you.
Wayne Nathan, 548 Cloverdale. Good evening, Council and Mayor. The reason I'm up here this evening is that Rob Sands, some time ago, said there was going to be a state audit done in regards to the city in relation to all-in grocery. Has that been done?
Rob Sand told you that?
That was on the news.
So the city we didn't ask for an audit, so it would be up to Rob Sand's responsibility to carry it out. Any information that the auditor or our folks that do our auditing, anything that they've asked us, we provided all that information. But as far as where that's at, where it stands at, and what the time frame is, I would suggest talk to Rob Sand, because we didn't initiate, well, the mayor, finance, and folks didn't initiate it. That was brought from the outside in, so please contact Rob Sand.
Well, Rob Sands himself was on the news and said that.
Right.
I don't know if you caught that, at that time. That's right, not long after all-in grocery closed.
Mm-hmm.
But to your knowledge, you're saying it has not been done?
What I'm saying is, I don't know, you're asking us, is it done?
I'm asking if one has been done yet.
That's Rob Sand. I'm saying anytime that they've asked us anything, we've supplied all the information. We're not responsible at the time frame in which Rob Sand completes that. So I would say reach out to Mr. Sand to find out their timeline and when they plan to have results from their findings. So that's what they're doing towards the city, not what the city's doing towards them. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's in control of it. He's doing it.
Yeah. Of course, then, from what you say, my next one was that if you had any knowledge of who was going to do this audit. But you probably do not if you don't know about the audit going to be done.
I'm saying, I know about the audit. What I'm saying is, we're not conducting the audit. We are
Right.
supplying information. So
Right.
when Mr. Sand's office asks us for information, we give them the information they
Okay.
ask for. But as far as when it will be completed, how many more questions they have, we're not in control of that because it's done by someone on the outside.
Well, he said he was going to assign someone within the Waterloo area to do this. And do you know who that was going to be?
So originally, he had conversation, and who's our audit firm? Bergen asked some specific questions to the city. They took the information at their schedule and they sent it to the auditor. The auditor at that point will come back and ask any questions they may have that we need to answer. And so so we've answered questions. It's up to the auditor to complete the audit, not us.
But the best of your knowledge, and Bergen was going to do the audit.
I don't know if I'm really trying to track to see if you're trying to like catch me up to say something or something, but
I'm understanding what you're saying.
Bergen has done our audit the last several years. So
Okay.
Bergen has done an audit of the city. Bergen has asked the city for information with that regard. That information was provided. Bergen works with the state auditor, and the state auditor has all the information. I guess they've had Bergen. Any questions the state auditors ask us, we give them that information.
Yes.
We are not conducting the audit. That is being done by the state auditor
Yes.
and along with them. So I can't tell you when it needs to be done. That's up to them. So that's the only thing that I'll say about it. I'm very clear about it. So I don't know what else to tell you if you're not tracking there.
Okay. We thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is John Hayes, and I live at 110 Sunset Road in Waterloo. I have 3 buildings on West 4th Street, 2 to which I occupy myself for my own businesses, and 1 I rent out to a retail space. I spoke to you guys in October, the 3rd week specifically, and the 1st week I emailed the majority of you, and there wasn't much response. These, like I said before in my email, I actually sent one on Friday too, to all of you. As we all know, especially with technology in today's day and age, these scooters and these bikes downtown go way more than 5-10 miles an hour. I could pull up my phone and get on Amazon and show you a bike that could go 40 or 50 miles an hour, and that's what we're dealing with on the sidewalks downtown. I don't know what it's gonna take to get some signage. I know if I had somebody hurt or if a bike flew by it faster than what the speed limit is in the street and I called the police, let's just be real, the officer wouldn't take it seriously, and respectfully so. So what is the answer to this? This is a problem that's not gonna go away. It's getting worse. The reason why I wanted to talk to you guys last fall, or brought it up last fall, so we'd have the whole winter to deal with this, and here we are, it's nice now. I've already had a couple incidents, like I said in my email, with the beer guy and a 2-wheel cart. There's just a lot of variables, a lot of stories I could tell you, but we don't have time for that. The part that disturbs me the most is I'm here because a lot of people that work for the city, and some of you up there are telling me the only way that this is gonna get dealt with is for me to get to this point. We've all worked together on things over the years. I've been downtown since 2003 as a property owner and a business owner. And, you know, I would think before we could get to this point, there would be some correspondence and things like that before I would get to this point. But I don't know if it's gonna take somebody important to get hit on a scooter or a bike, or if it's gonna take someone losing their mind and getting arrested. I don't know what it's gonna be. But it's a liability. And that's the word I've used in this email more than once. It's a liability not just for the business owner, the property owner, the city. It's a huge liability for the city, but it's also the biggest problem that we're worried about is the liability for the people coming downtown. We all know that someone getting waxed on a scooter at 20, 30 miles an hour coming out of my bar is not gonna come back. Downtown has its challenges, we all know already, and there's progress being made with some of this stuff, but this one just keeps getting swept under the rug, and I don't know what it's gonna take, and I'm just gonna ask you now, is there anything in place going on about this? Is there anything happening, any signage? I left Randy at Public Works, this is over a year ago, so just understand what I'm telling you here, but a message a year ago and I never got any response, so thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Charlie Grove. I live out at the Hawkeye Apartments. I'm one of the trans people that lost their rights this past month. And it's really disappointing that you guys never actually had enough spine to do anything to protect us. I thought politicians' jobs were to make people's lives better, but it seems like the only thing that happens is that our lives just get worse, you know? Like, what are any of you doing to make any of our lives better? Anything? I don't think so. I already live a awful existence. It's hard just living in this world, so to also have my civil rights taken away is tough. I'm now worried that I'm gonna lose my housing. It's already happened to a trans couple that I know in Des Moines. They were kicked out of their house because they're trans, and now they have no legal recourse to sue because they're not considered a group of people. That's what we're up against. Housing discrimination, employment discrimination. Just what bathroom am I supposed to use in this building? Am I allowed to use the men's room, or do I have to use the women's room? It says F on my birth certificate, so do I have to use the women's room in City Hall? Can you make an ordinance that allows people like me to use the bathroom? That's what we're talking about here. I lost my right to use public bathrooms. Do any of you know what it's like? I challenge you to go a week without using a public bathroom, including the ones in this building. I challenge you. Go a week. Trans people get UTIs at a higher rate because we avoid using the bathroom. I have been scared more times than one, sitting in a stall, hoping someone didn't think that my pee sounded feminine and would accost me at the door. I know people it's happened to. These are real problems. I want real solutions. I don't want any thoughts and prayers. I don't want any BS. What are you gonna do?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Erica Rissy, and I don't think that it's appropriate nor safe to share my address. I'll let you know I'm in the 3rd Ward of Waterloo. Every city has a charter that outlines the duties and powers of the mayor and city council. And upon reading Waterloo's, I found that primarily your roles have been outlined to govern at a municipal level. A response that I've heard from many of you upon disputing my calls for action at a state or federal level. Yet there's no explicit restriction against any of you engaging with state level leaders on our behalf, but that your jurisdiction and official powers are limited to city matters. So if my understanding is clear, this means that you, the mayor and city council, could advocate for the city interests at a state level. You could engage with state leaders on issues affecting the city and its people, and encourage residents to take action and participate in state level discussions. So my question for you is why haven't you? When our community members and organizations have called you to act to represent us, why have you refused? We're not asking you for miracles. We're asking for your leadership. Leadership like, when we packed this room, asking you to reverse the ban on conversion therapy, to take real action to make Waterloo a sanctuary city for trans individuals, an obvious, desperate need that our community has now. Or what about when we called on you to take a stand against our verified Iowa tax dollars funding the genocide in Palestine, backed by the Human Rights Commission, only for you to quietly reduce that action to a mere proclamation behind the people's backs? Right, Mayor? So I'll ask again, what are we supposed to do to get you to actually take action? Because I watch these meetings week after week, and I see and hear you providing some, for some, but not all. So tell us, what are the rest of us supposed to do? You have a response for some, but not for all?
I mean, you've literally told us that we haven't had any conversation with any state legislatures. You told us that we don't provide protections for certain people. So you pretty much have your mind made up. So, I mean, what would you like for us to,
I've
what would
provided
you
you
like
two
to see?
examples when we have come
So-
here and
so-
asked for very specific things, and
So-
then you have gone behind our back and changed them to not actually look like action in any capacity.
To you.
To the people who brought it here with the Human Rights Commission, you're right. You all chose that for us. You chose that for us.
And that's why you're asking a question about protections and what's being done. And that's why it's a little hard to have a little dialogue with some and others. If you want to sit down and have a conversation, I'm more than willing to sit down and have a conversation to show you exactly what's being done instead of having this all for all, like the city of Waterloo is not done anything. And so if you would like to have a conversation to talk about it, a civil conversation, I am more than happy to do so.
I think that I've reached out to you with various emails that have gone unresponded. So I'm confused what you mean by a civil conversation.
Accusatory emails. If you would like to have a,
if they're accusatory or not. You couldn't answer whether I can use the bathroom in this building.
I can provide receipts. I don't think that my emails have been accusatory in any way.
okay. If you would like to have a,
You are required.
yes, I am. And that deserves mutual respect, respect given to you and respect to have a conversation. If you would like to come sit down and talk about it, if you keep speaking out of order, like you've been shown the same respect, then
But you can't tell me what bathroom I'm supposed to use. Because you're afraid of the state.
If you're saying that we can have a conversation with
I would
you,
love to sit
what
down and
means
talk.
can we, the people who are not, I'm coming here and speaking up. There are plenty of people who can't do that. What are they supposed to do? Is there somewhere on the website where you can lead me to? Are there actual ways that we can understand how we can take an action? The leader of my ward can't even look me in the eyes, let alone
So,
respond to my emails. What are we supposed to do?
You've exceeded the time. I've extended the opportunity, and it's up to you whether or not from this point you want to take that opportunity to talk and meet. So I've extended that.
Okay, how do I do that?
Who's next?
How do I do that? That
Who's
has
next?
not been made clear.
You have been shown a little bit more time because obviously it's a very important matter.
Yes.
You made a lot of accusations, which is all good because if you don't know it, then it's okay to do it. If you would like to sit down,
Yes.
Ms. Rizzi, I would more than welcome the opportunity to sit down and talk to you and
Okay.
build together and collaborate together.
Great. How do I do that? How do I do that?
If you call tomorrow to the office, let's get a time set up. I would love to meet.
Call your office tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
You got it. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Is there anyone else?
Matthew Carpenter, 518 Jefferson for Carpenter's Diner. I just want to support what John said about the scooters downtown. That is an issue. I've had near misses at my own facility, and I've been down with Ray Foyce at times to Anton's garden, and they're an issue, terrorizing through the garden. If you go around, all the new concrete around the convention center has burnouts from the scooters. If you go on the 4th Street Bridge, the walks terrorized with burnouts, and it is ridiculous, and something needs to be worked on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council on non-agenda related items? Going a second time.
Sorry. I didn't know if council.
You have comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So first thing, I was going to bring the bicycle thing and scooter thing up as well, specifically about the concrete. We had all this beautiful new concrete poured, and now there's black lines all over it. So I would like to see some type of signage or something and some additional enforcement on making sure these people are actually on the road where they're supposed to be, just to maintain our infrastructure better and for safety reasons. So I think that is something we need to go ahead and move forward on, especially as we continue with these this continued evolution of downtown. Those scooters bring people downtown. They bring business downtown. They're a good thing for making us unique, but we do need to make sure they're following the laws that we have provided here as a council. As we get into spring, I would like to remind the citizens of Waterloo that we have an app, and that app can be used for your recycling, to know when that's coming, to know when yard waste is coming and your trash is coming. So I highly recommend, if you have not downloaded the Waterloo app and you have a smartphone, do so, because that way you know when things are coming for bulk pickup. I know that I'm already looking at my yard and thinking, okay, what do I need to get sent off to the trash can because I don't have a truck. So this is your time to download that app and be ready for spring cleanup as it gets warmer and warmer in the city. Thank you again for getting that app. I've been looking forward to that for a long time. I think it's Waterloo Wire with a Y. You can download it on the App Store. I have an Android. I'm sure it's on Apple as well because everything's on Apple. Next thing, Mr. Mayor, I've asked this and private in the past, but now that it's warm, I just wanted to ask if we could get bathrooms on the doors at the park, dates on the bathrooms at the park, or if they could be on the app, so that way we know when the bathrooms are open and closed for the season. I know there are people that run and then don't know when, okay, well, I have to plan my run for the bathroom, but I don't know if the bathroom's open, and it causes a lot of bathroom issues, which we don't want to have. So just a short thing. And then last thing, the final Saturday of the month, we have our Ward 1 and Ward 2 office hours / meeting. It's the final Saturday of the month at noon at the Ridgeway Sidecar. So we hope to see you there. Ward 1 and Ward 2 residents, come talk, ask questions, have a coffee, support our local business. Thank you very much, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Let's go, Mr. Nichols. In the
Just on the bikes and scooters thing, to my knowledge, those things can be geolocated in the speed.
These are
they geolocation?
the scooters out from downtown aren't out yet. Those are private scooters
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
and bikes right now.
yeah, never mind then.
But we
I was
can
gonna
talk
say,
to him. and
talk
see.
to the vendor about that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
March 30th.
March 30th, that's the exact day, thank you.
Okay. I'm curious, and I've been, it's upset me, the bikes and the scooters on the sidewalks. Do we have a ordinance that does not allow bikes and scooters on the sidewalk? So it's a municipal infraction? I mean, it's not a traffic code violation. I'm asking.
I think it's municipal.
So if it is a minute, huh?
There's an ordinance.
So if it is a municipal infraction, I just want to know how we can enforce this and work towards enforcing it before someone gets hurt. If I go up this, if I ride the bike trails and I ride them all over Blackhawk County, but when I get up into Cedar Falls, if I get on that parkade, I've got to walk my bike. And you see people up there, if they're going to a business or a restaurant or something on bike, they get off their bikes and they walk up the sidewalks because they're going to get a ticket if they're caught on that sidewalk. And I'm just curious on the police department side, if it's a municipal infraction, how we have an Ocean One car, I believe, assigned to downtown, how we can enforce this to ease that burden. Because I think if we start writing a few tickets, maybe the word will get out and people will stay off the darn sidewalks.
Yeah, and I got the email too. Problem is, I'm trying to get done with this parking ordinance that we've been dealing with for the last year and a half and try to find some concession somewhere. So hopefully that's over tonight maybe. But the next stage is to figure out what type of signage or what we can do collectively to do it. I don't know if we have the police power to have them have a sidewalk officer that's there every day. But we need to take a look at signage and have a group conversation about how we can enforce it. I don't know if you have anything right now, Chief, but it's going to require a little bit more thought. But I'm just trying to get done with this parking ordinance right now, so.
Because we leave this council meeting in the summertime when you have, when the regular scooters or rental scooters are here. I'm sorry.
Somebody was talking from the audience.
But we leave that council meeting and we see them zipping across the sidewalks and on the bridges and that. And I'm not asking for a sidewalk enforcement officer. I'm just asking for if an officer isn't on his way to a call, on his way back, if he sees someone on that sidewalk, if we do have a municipal ordinance, maybe we could just pull over and just start them with a warning.
Yep.
You can't ride on the sidewalks. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Chief Duncan, if it's possible, is there a PDF file or something you can bring down of that ordinance being broken and tickets being written for that particular type of violation? Is that something that could be maybe presented to us or given to us down the road?
Yeah, Chief Duncan, Chief of Police. I'll have to get with Marty. I'm not sure if it's in tracks or not. All of our citations get written in tracks. It might have to be something that's handwritten.
Okay.
But yeah, we can do that.
If we
sure.
can get a correlation between the number of tickets or violations or enforcements being done versus the complaints being filed, we can maybe start there and start seeing if we can level that off.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's, and the distinction is, downtown is where it's prohibited, so. So we'll take a look at it.
And then, Mr. Mayor, the trans individuals that I would gladly sit in on that meeting. If you would like somebody else to sit on there from the board, I'll volunteer to do that for sure. So let me know.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to close public comment.
So parking is tonight. Then next is scooters and sidewalk cafes.
Yes.
All right.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments closed.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the addition of 1A1, bills payment, in the amount for March 10th Yeah, the amount is $5,041,480.54.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have Sheila Combs to our airport business manager. We have Travis Miller to our plate maintenance mechanic. Are either one of you here? Right, so, and then we have a few different renewals, Matthew Chapman, Mark Myers, Samir Sarkich, Richard Mott Jr., and Ryan Vesto, all renewals for our Board of Electrical Examiners. Are any of you here tonight? All right. Could someone take items 1, 2, 3, and 4? I believe we can hold hearing on all of them.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I'd like to make a motion to receive, file proof of publication and notice of public hearing of number 1, general obligation bonds, ECP 1, the issuance not to exceed $4,200,000 general obligation bonds for essential corporate purposes. Number 2, general obligation bonds, GCP-2, the issuance not to exceed $700,000 general obligation bonds for general corporate purposes. Number 3 is general obligation bonds, GCP-3, the issuance not to exceed $900,000 general obligation bonds for general corporate purposes. And number 4, general obligation bonds, GCP-4, the issuance not to exceed $600,000 general obligation bonds for general corporate purposes.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now open for ECP 1, GCP 2, 3, and 4. So please state your name and address for the record. And Madam Clerk, no comments on file?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
David Dryer, 3145 West 4th Street. Are these new bonds? Because I'm thinking we just did some bonds. So are these new bonds? And it also kind of ties to resolution number 1, where it gives approval for doing these with we're going to tax somebody for it. So do you need to do these 4 and then make that resolution later, or aren't these being approved as they were read?
All right, so Bridget.
And I'd like to have I'd like to have this lady give me she has my email address, I'm sure, a complete list of what we have over the last 5 years for bonds and how much we paid off.
Bridget Wood, Finance Director. These are new bonds. These are for our capital improvements program projects that we have throughout the city. The last bonds that we just did were for a couple different TIF area projects.
And we have gone from what, $10,000-$15,000 over the years to the last couple of years down to $6 million.
Correct.
Say that one more time, sir.
We've gone, in previous years, we were 10, 11, 12 million or so maybe. Now, over the last couple of years, that's about down to about $6 million per year. So our department,
Okay, but what do we
heads
still
didn't-
owe? What do we still owe?
I don't know. what the-
That's what I,
But that's a
because we
question.
keep.
You said she can email you and
Yes, she can.
correspond with you,
I
so
will
we'll
leave it
get
at
that
that.
answer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I'd like to adopt a resolution on the proposition of the issuance not to exceed $4.2 million, $700,000, $900,000, and $600,000 general obligation bonds for essential corporate purposes.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Thank you. Council questions?
Just a quick one.
Sir?
How long are these bonds for, Bridget? 12 years. And one of my questions is
Restate that on the mic.
I'm sorry, I asked how long the bonds were, and you said 12 years. And some of these are paying for police cars, right? And
Hey,
I hope.
Bridget, can you come up to so we can let the viewers know?
Because and the reason I ask this is that we're paying off. I hope that we can work it towards a program for replacement of vehicles. I know Mr. Bennett is working towards that. And the reason I ask is that we're bonding 12 years for police cars that they're lasting 4 or 5 years. And so we ended up with X more years that we're paying on these cars and they're gone. So I hope next year or we start working towards a really good comprehensive program. And I know Mr. Bennett has been working on it so that we can put together replacement programs that we're not bonding and paying off vehicles we don't own anymore.
What's difficult with that though is that police department's on the general fund, so we already have struggles on getting that one to balance. So adding, what is it?
7 cars?
$260,000 into that every year for patrol cars is probably not the easiest way around it.
I just struggle. I struggle on having a 12-year bond. Is that what you said?
The cars are financed at another, a lower annual, I think it's like 5 or 6.
So it's a shorter bond?
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought when you said.
A portion of them are at a lower, like 6 years, and another one's at 12. So
Well, okay, that clears that up for me, and I appreciate that because, like I say, I would hate to be paying an additional 7 years on a car we didn't have.
Right.
So the cars are under a shorter bond.
I believe so. I'd have to double check and see which. I have 2 different debt schedules at my desk, and I have to see which ones I put in which one.
Could you get back to me on that?
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Bridget, while you're still there, could you please tag me on any information that you send Mr. Dryer?
Sure.
And then the mayor had alluded to something that we used to borrow a lot more than we do now.
Correct.
Only being on the council here a year, I'll take your word that that's true, obviously.
It's true.
And so what as a city can we do? Is it even possible for a city our size to not borrow? And if there is, what do we have to do? I mean, that's something we should have conversation about. That's department heads, that's everybody. But I think the people of Waterloo are getting bombarded with higher taxes all the time, and they just want to know that we're trying. And so.
So this list actually started. No, what did this list start out? What did this CIP? No,
It was about 30 million.
I mean, this is your area. Pay attention. Can you stand up? So what did we start out with? Was the original request?
Over 30 million.
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. So we annually go out to the departments to look at what the projects are. Obviously, we want a comprehensive list that's actually broken out into a 5-year program for the capital improvements program overall to look at all the programs, but it's basically looking at the 1 year of bonding as primarily.
How much
the
did they
main
ask?
one.
How much was asked this year when you started?
This year, I think we were at about 21.6 million in requests for this year alone, and we cut it down to the 6 million. We base that on prioritization of ones that we have grants for, so it's matching funds. If there's projects that are in multi-year payments, such as a fire truck is a large purchase, so there's different ways to break out how they're ordered and built. And then we look at other priorities for making projects happen in the community.
And so there's a myriad of departments that have to do specific things. It may be obligations from the DNR or the EPA. There's several different things that we actually have to do within some of these. And so to take that for a city of our size to only bond for $6 million is an anomaly, but these folks could actually use more money. So we started out $20+ million and ended up with $6 million. So I'm pretty sure you talk to any department head in here, they are challenged because they didn't get all of what they asked for the most part. But in these times, we have to be a little bit more frugal, and that's what folks have been doing, being very careful about what they do and the priorities as well. But it was, I don't know, what was it it was $6 million last year.
We've done 6 million this year, 6 million, I think the last 2 years, and it was 10 million the 2 years before that and 8 million the 2 years before that.
So we've reduced what we asked for by 40%. Not by what staff wanted, but what we bonded for. So, all right. Any other questions? Sir?
I think it's important to understand that when when we dropped that 10 million down to 6, that it was gonna affect our debt service levy if we kept it at the 10 million, and it was gonna raise people's taxes. So, I mean, departments are suffering, but we're keeping the debt service levy at a rate that's not affecting people's taxes like it could if we would have kept it up to the 10 million.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else? Madam Clerk, roll call vote for 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Could someone take number 5, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I move to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that is for the fiscal year 2024 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, CAPER.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak to this item on the agenda? Going a second time.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
move to close the hearing.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second and no comments on file, right?
Correct.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I move to adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 2024 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, CAPER, for CDBG and home program activities for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, and submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Council, any questions? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Could someone take number 6?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that's for the sale and conveyance of 406 Randall Street located within the Church Road neighborhood.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The public hearing is now open. If you have questions, please come up, state your name and address for the record. Going a second time.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing has been closed.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to adopt a resolution authorizing the sale and conveyance of city-owned property located at 406 Randall Street to Iowa Heartland Habitat for Humanity in the amount of $1 and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute said documents.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Council, any questions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to adopt a resolution approving a development agreement with Iowa Heartland Habitat for Humanity with a grant of $5,000 for infill housing development for the addition of a new single-family home at 406 Randall Street and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute said document.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Someone take number 7, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing for the fiscal year 2025 asphalt overlay program, contract number 1115.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now open. Is there anyone that has questions about the asphalt overlay program? Going a second time.
Mayor, I'd like
Sir?
to make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution confirming approval of plans, specifications, form of contract, et cetera, and authorizing to proceed.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Council questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
and it has to do with 7, 8, and 9. And I brought it up in the past, no disrespect to engineering, but we get zipped for information. When you look up at this asphalt overlay program contract 1115, if you go to council communications, it says the exact same thing. And then if you go to the asphalt overlay program contract, it's the bid documents. It doesn't really tell us what streets we're overlaying this year. The information on the San Martin project, it doesn't say where to where, you know, on the asphalt reconstruction. We have no information, and it's really tough for me to vote on, and we do need to approve this, but I struggle because I don't have any information.
What we're doing, okay. Mr. Knutson, want to speak to the information for the overlay and reconstruction programs, what we're doing, and where can council find that?
Jamie Knutson, city engineer. Those will be in the plans and specs that would have been transferred as part of this to the clerk's office, I believe. If they weren't, I apologize for that, but the plans are on file at the clerk's office. As far as the overlay, if you're curious, it's a section of Green Hill Road from Maynard up to 218, Ridgeway from Blackhawk Creek to the west city limits, Independence and Walnut from the railroad tracks out to Idaho Street, section of Parker from Ackerman to Highway 63, and about a block and a half of Prince Street.
Thank you.
So, is what? Okay. Sorry about that, Mr. Bozen. You are correct. We'll work on that and get that up. Sorry about that.
Plans and specs may have likely been transmitted previously, but not with that agenda item. So
Okay.
they'll have to double duty that.
I was looking on to the computer. Did he verbalize which ones or not? I wasn't paying attention. So, so he said which
I haven't
ones?
got to that one yet.
Okay, all right.
We're doing them all separately, right?
Okay, he did, all
Okay.
right. Are you okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
It is kind of hard to vote on what you can't see, right? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to receive, file, and instruct city clerk to read bids.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. Madam Clerk? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Clerk?
All right.
I got it right here if you need it.
No, I just got to get back in the right spot.
Okay.
Okay, the engineer's estimate was $5,748,374.57. They received one bid. It was from Aspro Inc. of Waterloo, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $4,908,656.32.
Mr. Mayor.
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving award of bid to Aspro Inc. of Waterloo, Iowa, in the amount of $4,908,656.32, approving the contract bond and certificate of insurance in conjunction with the fiscal year 2025 asphalt overlay program contract number 1115, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute said document.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Could someone take number 8?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that's for the fiscal year 2025 East-West San Martin Drive Reconstruction Project, contract number 1116.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak to this item? Sir?
David Dreyer, 3145 West 4th Street. What part of San Martin are we doing?
My question.
Jamie Knutson, city engineer. We are going from Highway 21 to Bankers Boulevard. A little over a mile and a quarter, somewhere in that neighborhood,
Bankers Boulevard.
just east of Amesboro,
Say that again, sir?
just east of Amesboro Avenue.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral comments.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing closed.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to adopt a resolution confirming approval of plans, specifications, form of contract, et cetera, and authorizing to proceed.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Counsel?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
thank you. That was one of my questions, was 21 to where. And the other one is, as I'm reading the contract, and I like the idea that the incentive to get the work done before the deadline. 25,000 if it's done by this date, 50,000 if it's done by this date. What I don't see in the contract is the penalties if they go past. And we're putting in incentives, but I think we also should have to have penalties if they exceed that timeframe.
Jamie Knudsen, city engineer, they're $1,000 a day, and those are in the spec book that's considered as part of the contract that they're bidding on, or the project that they're bidding on, excuse me.
But it's in the spec book, but I didn't read it in the contract. Did I miss
Correct.
it somewhere in there?
Not in the contract, no, it's in the spec book specifically.
And what days does that $1,000 a day start? The November
Whatever
21st date?
Yeah, whatever the completion date is, yes.
The substantial completion date was November?
Yes.
November 21st. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
is the $1,000 a day in a spec book, is that binding? Is
Yes.
that enforceable?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to receive, file, and instruct city clerk to read bids.
Second?
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Our engineer's estimate was $5,350,000. Our first bidder was Cedar Valley Corp. LLC of Waterloo, Iowa. They provided 5% security. The bid amount was $4,616,849.97. Our second bidder was a Riley Construction Company Incorporated of Ashen, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $6,987,628.28. Our next bidder was Iowa Civil Contracting, Inc. of Victor, Iowa. They provided 5% security. The bid amount was $5,135,678.64. Our next bidder was Boomerang Corporation of Anamosa, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $5,447,713.60. Our second to last bidder was Owen Contracting of Cedar Falls, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $4,642,007.64. And then our final bidder was Peterson Contractors, Inc. of Rhinebeck, Iowa. They provided 5% security, and their bid amount was $4,621,444.30.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to adopt a resolution approving award of bid to Cedar Valley Corp. LLC of Waterloo, Iowa, in the amount of $4,616,849.97, approving the contract bond and certificate of insurance in conjunction with the fiscal year 2025 East-West San Martin Drive reconstruction project, contract number 1116, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute said documents.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Could someone take number 9, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to receive, file, and proof of publication of notice of public hearing. That's for fiscal year 2025 asphalt reconstruction project contract number 1117.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now open. Is there anyone that'd like to speak to this item on the agenda?
David Dryer, 3145 West 4th Street. Is this an overlay? Because then why wasn't it combined with the one prior to that and combine them all together?
Mr. Knudsen.
Jamie Knudsen, city engineer. This is a complete reconstruction where we're tearing the street out and starting all over, similar to what we used to do 7 or 8 years ago with a lot of the residential streets that are full depth asphalt.
So the entire street will be asphalt, there'll be no concrete support under it?
Correct. There'll be 8 inches of sub base underneath the asphalt. And then some of them, depending upon the street, will have concrete curb and gutter.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Not I like it, but okay.
Yes, sir. You got one more question.
Forrest Dillaboo, 1725 Huntington Road. I think it's time on the new construction that we start giving more weight to concrete. Cedar Falls does almost all of their new construction with concrete. That has a lifespan of about 30 years versus asphalt 15 years. And after 30 years, if need be, we can coat the concrete. I think we need to sit down and look at those numbers. We've got to get more for our money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do you have a comment, or you good?
I was just assuming Mr. Bozen was gonna ask which ones were.
Oh, it's coming.
We gotta close the hearing.
We gotta close the hearing first.
Wait, do you want, well, to the public?
I appreciate him.
We're doing a piece of Orange Road out by Hawkeye it's the concrete out there that's between Hammond and their entrances that are in bad shape. We're doing that. And then we're also doing a section of Mullen Avenue from Washington up to Leland, that's in terrible shape. And then, the last piece is a piece of Parker from Broadway to Ackerman. This is a twofold. It's in bad shape, but then we are also removing 4 intakes from the sanitary sewer, which is part of the consent decree.
Thank you. Who did that one? Yes, sir.
Mayor?
Sir?
Move to close the hearing and receive and file oral comments.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing closed.
Mr. Mayor?
Sir?
Move to adopt a resolution confirming approval of plans, specifications, in form of contract, et cetera, and authorizing to proceed.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Council?
Mr. Mayor, quickly.
Sir?
On the Orange Road one, we don't have contracts, we just got the bid docs, but is it gonna be done before, is our goal to get it done before school starts? Because right now, we are really limited with Hess coming to the roundabout to LaPorte being closed. You know, are we gonna be able to get that section of Orange Road done prior to Hawkeye opening back up?
Jamie Knudsen, city engineer. We should. There is no curb and gutter out there. This is all, no storm sewer, no utilities, no nothing. It's basically peel out the concrete, get the new sub base in and pave it back. So it should go very, very quickly.
That road is a mess.
It is. It is in bad shape.
I mean, it truly is. Okay, thank you, sir.
Anyone else? All right, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder? Yes. Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Sir?
I move to receive, file, and instruct city clerk to read bids.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Madam, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Clerk?
Our engineer's estimate was $1,860,458.40. We received 2 bids. The first one was from Peterson Contractors Incorporated of Rhinebeck, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $1,450,580.56. Our second and final bidder was from Aspro Inc. of Waterloo, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $1,412,835.16.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Sir?
I move to adopt a resolution approving award of bid to Aspro Incorporated of Waterloo, Iowa, in the amount of $1,412,835,000.16, approving the contract bond and certificate of insurance in conjunction with the fiscal year 2025 asphalt reconstruction project, contract number 1117, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute said document.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder? Yes. Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Can someone take items 1 through 3?
Mr. Mayor.
Sir?
I'd like to adopt the following resolutions. First is a resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds series 2025 and levying a tax for the payment thereof. The second is a resolution approving construction plans for sanitary sewers serving Dollar General store at 4803 Sargent Road as submitted by Berlin Engineering LLC, sewage treatment agreement, DNR Form 29, November 00. And the Department of Natural Resources and final acceptance of a construction plan subject to the review and acceptance by the Department of Natural Resources and authorizing the mayor to execute said documents. And then number 3, a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Foth Infrastructure and Environment LLC in the amount of $260,378 in conjunction with the fiscal year 2026 Katosky Drive and Huntington Road reconstruction contract number 1123 and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute said document.
Second.
All right, that motion has been made with the second. Questions on this item?
David Jar, 3145 West 4th Street. I guess mine is on number 3. What is the reconstruction that is going to be done out there?
All right, Mr. Knudsen.
Both streets look pretty darn good to me.
Jamie Knudsen, city engineer. If council remembers, a while back, we had the meeting with the school district and all the traffic improvements that they were gonna need to make, excuse me, for the combined high school. So one of the items that came out of their traffic study was needing to do something at Katowski and Huntington, needing to do something with Huntington itself, as well as Katowski. So what we're doing is working with the schools as well as Cedar Falls in order to look at what we need to do to make sure that the traffic will function correctly out there when the new school is opened.
So there's no definite thoughts, okay?
So that the design, this is a design contract to get them started to look at various different configurations before we get to the point to come back to council and show them what is planned. After that point, after this contract is through and we've come back to council to discuss some of the items or possible improvements, then we will move to final design and then bidding and ultimately construction.
All right, thank you.
Forrest Dillaboo, 1725 Huntington Road, my neighborhood. I'm very concerned about more than just the traffic. We just reconstructed that within the last 2 or 3 years, totally reconstructed the intersection. Now we're gonna take everything we spent and tear it back out or whatever it takes. And stormwater has not been addressed by anyone. The school in their last paperwork that I saw said they did not have any retention pond designed for the area. That area, all that watershed goes against the dry side of a levee down there with no lift station to lift it over. All we got's a couple of gas pumps they take down and put in. If they can get up on the levee, they park on top of the levee and pump the water over. Now, if you don't get that water out of there, all those homes in that lower area will flood their basements. It's the wettest place in the city of Waterloo. We were forced to put in sump pumps because of that. And I know it is. I've lived there for more years than I care to admit. And the traffic, there's going to be roughly 2,000 students, 80-some% of them are going to be driving. I challenge each and every one of you to go out there on Downing Avenue at school dismissal time and sit up there by Fred Becker School and look at the cars lined up end to end for 2 blocks. It's a 1-lane road. And those high school students, I know how they drive. I'm old, but I can still remember how they drive. And if you put in 2 roundabouts, they're gonna have fun. And I told my wife the other day, we're gonna have to get rid of your 6-cylinder van. I'm gonna have to get you a Hemi Jeep because you're not gonna be able to get out of this driveway unless you have the hammer down. We need a lot of engineering work out there by professional engineers that know how to handle this. It isn't just simple. It's water, it's everything. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to comment on this item? Council, 1 through 3.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have a question on 2, one question on 2 and one on 3. And I'm on number 2, and I know this is for the sewage stuff, but when looking at the diagrams, there's gonna be a road going in there, and it looks like there's gonna be turning lanes on Highway 63. My question is who's putting the road in, the Dollar General, and who's doing the work for 63?
Jamie Knudsen, city engineer. Dollar General is responsible for installing the turn lanes on Highway 63 as well as Charm Drive.
Excellent. And my other question is on the $260,000 for both infrastructure. Is that a joint thing with the schools, that funding-wise?
Correct. This is a joint thing, not only with the schools, but Cedar Falls also wants to reconstruct their portion of Huntington Road from the city limit line to Cedar Heights, I believe is what it is. That's not included.
Cedar Falls isn't included.
It's not included in their cost, but there is some coordination issues that need to be worked out. But yes, most of this is going to be split between Waterloo and the school district.
Okay, and so that $260,000 isn't all of our money?
Correct.
Good. And how did is that something the schools did with both? Because normally, I usually when these projects, you see AECom.
So I will say it this way: we usually look at what engineers are available and have time to work on these projects. AECom does a lot of great work for us. The other thing that, because this is a joint project between Waterloo and Cedar Falls, Foth did the design for the Cedar Heights roundabout in Cedar Falls, so making sure that they were, and Foth has done a number of them Foth also did University Avenue in Cedar Falls as well, all of that. So they've got a lot of experience with roundabouts, and it just kind of made sense with their experience and their time to be able to do this.
So you're comfortable working with this group?
Absolutely.
That's perfect.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Knutson, I've expressed my concern too about the traffic situation that this high school is going to present. And the gentleman just expressed his concerns as well. In your personal opinion, do you think that's been done as far as the traffic study, what could be done with the water runoff and all the things that we're saying? Do you feel comfortable that it's where it should be, in your personal opinion?
So for the traffic study, that Howard R. Green did that. The schools hired that traffic consultant to do the traffic study. Myself, my staff, Mohammed Alahi, our traffic engineer, has also looked at it, reviewed it to make sure it made sense. They proposed a number of different improvements along Katowski, and that's part of what this agreement here tonight is going to do, is to have them look at a number of different things. Because for traffic, you could put in a signalized intersection, you could put in a roundabout, you could do some other things. The question is, which one makes the most sense? Both of them will work, but ultimately there's some long-term costs to the city for signals and having to install those. They get hit, you got to deal with them. Is it better to put in a roundabout? Do we have the space to put in a roundabout? The traffic study did not look at some of those particulars. That's what Foth will do in this agreement, as far as the traffic goes. As far as the school site plan and their stormwater runoff, the schools submitted their site plan several times to us. They have 1, 2, 3, at least 3, if not 4 different detention basins in it, along with the 600-page drainage report that my staff went through. We feel that they are doing everything they can to mitigate the stormwater that they will be producing. They're going above and beyond what is required of not only our ordinance, but of what the state requires. And that it is going to be a big improvement, because currently, when that high school was built and the parking lots and everything else, there is no stormwater detention out there now. There is some that was put in as part of the Career Center, but that is on the backside that takes care of a little bit there. So again, they're doing everything they can, and it wasn't anything that the city designed. This is the consultant the school hired. We've reviewed it, and we feel that it's a good plan moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, any other questions? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. 4, 5, and 6, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Sir?
And number 4, I'd like to adopt a resolution approving a supplemental agreement number 8 with Stanley Consultants, Inc. of Des Moines, Iowa, in the amount of $153,225 in conjunction with the FY22 11th Street and Park Avenue Bridge Replacement Projects, Contract 1013, and authorizing the mayor to execute said documents. Number 5 is adopting a resolution approving a farm lease agreement expiring December 31st, 2025 with Renee Lupkus to farm approximately 19 acres of land for hay baling in the amount of $200 located east of 4862 West 4th Street, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute said documents. Number 6 is adopting a resolution, a supplemental agreement number 2 with AECom Technical Services, Inc. of Waterloo, Iowa, in the amount of $49,200 in conjunction with the Titus Lift Station and Force Main project, and authorize the mayor to execute said document.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Yes, sir.
David Dryer, 3145 West 4th Street. Number 4, is there any added funds coming from the state for offsetting this additional consulting group?
Jamie?
Jamie Knutson, city engineer. Yes, they're the contractor. Let me rephrase that. The project was let through the DOT, and the DOT does things on working days, not a completion date contract. As far as the DOT specs are concerned, it's $3,000 a day for every day that they are over that working day amount. And part of the $3,000 per day is to help go to pay for the extra cost here for our inspection. So yes, this should all be covered. by the contractor once we get to that point as we close out the project.
By the contractor, not by the state.
Correct, because the contractor is beyond the working day, so there is a $3,000 a day penalty on them for being over the project.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Council?
Mayor,
Sir?
thank you for answering that, because that was my question about going past the date and why we were paying for it. And this is for Noel, I guess. I apologize. How did we come up with the $200 for a year for 19 acres of hay baling?
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. At one point, we bid it out, and that was the only bid we received.
Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Right. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Force?
Yes.
7, 8, and 9, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Eason Environmental Group, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $3,200 to perform a Phase 1 environmental site assessment on land located approximately 1/4 of a mile west of 4634 Kimball Avenue, and authorizing the mayor to execute said document. A resolution approving a contract amendment with the Iowa Economic Development Authority, Hydrite Chemical Company, and the City of Waterloo to amend project completion dates of the High Quality Jobs Program application, and authorize the mayor to execute said document. And a resolution approving an amendment to the professional services agreement with Envision Architecture LLC of Waterloo, Iowa, in the amount of $442,700, previously approved for $420,000, to perform a structural analysis of 100 East 4th Street as part of the renovation and relocation of City Hall, and authorizing the mayor to execute said document.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Yes, sir.
David Dryer, 3145 West 4th Street. Number 7, it says Phase 1 environmental site assessment. What are we assessing it for? I assume it's bare land? What are we assessing it for?
Mr. Anderson?
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. It is farmland. By state code, we do Phase 1s to keep ourselves eligible for grants if something is uncovered.
When you say something isn't, what do you mean something isn't covered?
If something is uncovered.
Uncovered, excuse me.
I thought you said covered
Okay.
too, but. All right. Council? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. 10 and 11, please.
Mayor,
Sir?
I'd like to adopt a resolution approving an agreement with Kirk Gross Company of Waterloo, Iowa, in the amount of $47,000 for furniture design, inventory, and bid documents for the renovation and relocation of Waterloo City Hall to 100 East 4th Street, and authorizing the mayor to execute said document. And then number 11, a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Align Architecture and Planning, PA Studio of PRA of Waterloo, in the amount of $225,000 for the design work for a new police training facility, and authorizing the mayor to execute said document.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second.
Me again, David Dryer, 3145 West 4th Street. You did 9 by itself, but 9, 10, and 11. So I calculate $714,700, and we haven't even done one thing to move. What's our total projection for the cost of this move, plus giving this guy, what, $5 million for this? What's the total projection, and how much of that are going to be assumed by or paid by the citizens of this town?
Mr. Anderson?
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. So number 11 is not for City Hall. That was a mistake by me originally, so that is for a different facility. So 9 and 10 would go to the City Hall facility. I believe we bonded 3.5 million in bonds for potential improvements to the site, to make changes at the building. These would be included in the overall costs. With Kurt Gross looking at the furniture design, we're very fortunate. There's a number of a large amount of furniture over there, so they'll take inventory of what we can reuse over there, plus what we may need for the move and what we can move from here. The structural analysis is also part of the architectural design, which we're undergoing right now to move the various departments and police department over to the building. Of course, the $6.2 million grant that Mr. Blackwell received as part of the swap, he also has to invest that $6.2 million back into this building and the Carnegie Annex building, so we're seeing a reinvestment back into Waterloo to put these back on the tax rolls.
Okay, so what is our expected total cost for moving from here to there plus Mr. Blackwell?
So we're finalizing that as we go through these various designs. I mean, right now we have the $3.5 million for improvements over there, and we'll see what the estimates come in at. We did have some existing money over here for security improvements and changes that were needed to the police station and some security on the first floor, about $700,000. So right now we're looking at a budget about $4.2 million, but we'll uncover some more as the design continues.
So we really don't know what it's going to cost us to move. That's my indication. Thank you.
All right, council?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
Mr. Dryer, the engineer's estimate for construction was $5.5 million and $1.35 million in soft costs, possible additional costs on that. I think number 11 is not written. The information isn't factual. I'm not saying that it's not factual. I apologize. It says for a police training facility. When you read the contract is for phase 1, which is the lab processing and property evidence building. Phase 2 is a training facility to be determined at a later date. And the engineer's estimated cost on that is $3 million.
So one of you two, Chief, or no, you want to talk about this? Oh, he said that quickly.
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. So, looking at a number of improvements. As part of moving out of this building, we're looking at improved lab space. There's some potential partnerships with the county that the chief can talk about for the evidence storage as well as the lab space. And of course, then also the current shooting range is at the end of MLK as we continue to work with Raymond, Elk Run, the county, Intercog, and others for a potential Northeast Industrial Corridor improvements over there. It doesn't make sense to invest into that older site knowing that the roadway would come through there at some point. So it's in a bad location moving ahead in the future. So that would be looked at for the new site. We have land that we could put this on to help go for some grants and provide the match with our land and potential infrastructure improvements.
And the reason I asked, sir, is because we're entering into joint ventures, possibly joint ventures with county on a couple of items, and they have a beautiful training center, not too far from the fire department or police department's training center. But this is for the way it's written, and the contract is for the lab processing and property evidence storage, not new police training facility, because according to the contract, that's phase 2, which we don't have a dollar amount at. And so we're going to be $3 million into this. I understand the crime lab isn't moving, so we've got to do something with the crime lab. They're not moving to the new facility. Why are we moving the property room? That'll be for the chief.
And Andrew's here with line architecture too, if we want to talk about some more exactly what the contract includes. I mean, honestly, we're looking at the site, looking at the contract, looking at the different uses, and there may be a morph of how we vision them now as we get over there and look at the design process as to how some of them can share space or be put next to each other.
But my question was,
we're trying not to separate them all. We're trying to look at it as a total facility and what we can have there.
But my question was why we're moving the property room.
Right. Why does it make sense to consolidate all of these things, if one of you want to speak to that?
Rob Duncan, Chief of Police. So the county, probably 2 years ago, the county was going to build a lab processing and evidence storage. There were some issues that I won't get into that didn't happen. So when we realized that lab wasn't going to move to the new facility, we talked to county and said, hey, you guys didn't get your lab. They really don't have a way to process things right now. That's correct. What do you guys think about partnering? They brought up, hey, we need property evidence as well. So the idea was to partner with them on a facility that we can combine both lab and property and then also take the space that's across the street and utilize that for tactical unit, bomb and things like that, and get it like a more ergonomical space for our property division as well.
So my question is, we're already at 3 million, and that's just phase one. So I'm anticipating, especially if you go with an indoor shooting range, I'm just saying if you did, that we could go in excess of another 4 million.
Yeah, so the training center part of it is kind of a separate thing. We have some potential donors that have stepped up and said, hey, we want to partner with you guys. We heard you may be looking at something. I'd mentioned something to somebody here last July. So most of that, I think, is probably going to be paid for by grants.
So you think that if it goes $2, $3, $4 million for that other facility, that we're not going to have any TIF funds in that?
Maybe a little bit. Are you talking about the training center?
Yes.
Yeah, it really depends on how expensive we make it. Indoor shooting range, we definitely need TIF funds, so Noel, if you could help us out with that. But I don't, we've looked at the prices and stuff like that, and that's not gonna happen. But I think most of it is gonna be able to be covered by grants.
So what's the plan for 408, 406 East 6th Street? That's the current property room, the tactical storage, and then the existing lab processing facility. Are we gonna tear that building down and then market it to someone, or what are we doing with it?
No, we're gonna keep that. We need that space for our tactical stuff. We're also, since there was some space downstairs for our tech.
A small locker room.
Locker room, yeah. We're going to utilize that space, make it a little bit better space for the TAC team. Also, our bomb team needs to have a space to keep all their equipment. So there's a lot of area over there we'll keep utilizing.
Well, the reason I ask is because it said bomb training facility in the future things out there in MLK and Bishop.
Yeah.
But you just mentioned the bombs stand where they're at.
We need a facility where we can store the explosives and set stuff off, and that'll be out there. The equipment will stay here.
Okay, so I think the neighbors will enjoy that, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down with your struggle on that. I was more concerned. So what's the county's buy-in? If the county's going to come in for a joint lab processing and evidence, what's their buy-in?
We believe they're going to pay half of it.
We've got no commitment from them yet.
1.5 million. We've been in communication with several board of supervisors. No solid commitment, but they had money set aside before they pulled the project, so it's sitting there waiting for us.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. All right, council, questions on these last two? All right, Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Someone take number one.
Mr. Mayor,
How did I know you would say something? Yes, sir.
I move to receive, file, and consider and pass for the first time an ordinance amending the City of Waterloo Traffic Code by repealing and replacing parking meters and parking ramp sections 320 to 353 in their entirety, and acting in lieu thereof a new parking meters and parking ramp section 320 to 353.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Is there anyone that would like to speak to this particular item on the agenda?
I was gonna wait till other business, but I think this is appropriate at this time. You're changing the meters and stuff. You wanna change the meters downtown, et cetera. When
Mr.
you go
Dryer-
to the
Mr.
kind
Dryer,
of,
just in case folks may not have recognized the other times you've come up here, you want to state your name and address for the record?
you don't know me yet?
I didn't want to say.
I'm very
Dryer,
forgetful.
3145 West 4th Street.
Thank you, sir.
This has to do also with the other business, because it doesn't seem like the ordinance and the fees you want to charge are conducive to get people to shop downtown in Waterloo. I've gone down Main Street in Cedar Falls, and I think they talked about putting meters back in and decided that was not a smart idea, because that street, when I go to the bank over there, is busy all the time with people walking up and down, because they can park for nothing. And you guys want to charge, I park down by the Vets building, and it's 25 cents for an hour and a quarter. Now I get an hour free. Wow. But then I got to go maybe to a kiosk on the corner. I got 2 bad knees. I like to walk a long ways, you know? But anyway, you're making it more difficult for people to shop downtown and more expensive, but yet you want to bring people back downtown. It doesn't calculate in this brain, and it's old, but, you know, still there.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else who would like to comment? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Mary Heller, live at 1162 Linder. I have the Ivy Trellis downtown. I agree with this gentleman that was just up here. I battle constantly to get more customers to come downtown. And over the years that I've been down here, one of the pains that customers don't like are the parking. I don't know, maybe we can learn more from our neighbors across the way. And I certainly don't think raising the price even higher is going to help matters any. It makes it worse. I know it's going to cost money if you're going to replace everything, but I really don't think it's going to be beneficial to bringing people down. And I've battled with it now for a long time. And right now, in the state of the economy, as slow as it is for retail as it is, we can't have anything that makes it worse if you want retail to survive downtown. The other question I have is in the parking ramps. I rent 2 spots in the parking ramps right now for my employees or for myself and employees, but I can't use it. I'm like this gentleman. I can only walk about a half a block and my back and my hip hurt so bad I can't go any farther than that. So, but from what figures I see in here, it's going to be way higher than what I'm paying right now. And I certainly can't see employees that work part-time at businesses downtown to pay that amount. They're not making enough to pay that amount. There needs to be something different to encourage them and the ones who rent downtown. And I think, you know, a lower amount or something so that we can get them off the street and into the parking ramps. I don't know. There's probably something I'm missing, but that's some of the things. I mean, to go to a kiosk, I can't believe you're going to have a kiosk every half a block or something, so I don't know how many of these things you're planning on doing, but I think, again, it's more messing around than what they did before, and like I said, my customers would say, I don't like messing with it anyway, so I don't know. I just honestly don't see it as a positive for attracting people and to keep them to come downtown. I'll give you another example. My former beautician came down to eat at Screaming Eagle. Didn't quite get back to her car. Yep. Okay.
Finish that, didn't quite get back to her car and what?
And she ended up with a ticket, and she says, I'll never go back downtown again. That's what she told me.
Okay, all right, thank you.
John Hayes, 110 Sunset Road, Waterloo. I don't necessarily agree with the 2 people that just spoke. I very much respect it, but I do feel like a lot of research has been done on this, and I can't say it's not appreciated, because it definitely is. I know Main Street's done a lot, and there's been a lot of chatter about it. I know you guys are ready for this to be over, but what I got to say is, even though I think it might be one way, what this gentleman said behind me is all I'm hearing, being downtown every day, all day. And even though it might not be what I want, I think it's going to affect us the most if we do it the way we are. Something else a little off subject. I know you know State Arts was downtown a couple weeks ago, and well, actually it was last weekend. Busiest event we've had on the west side. There was a couple of incidents in the parking ramps, well, the parking ramp. that created quite a stir and a lot of situations in, with chatter and stuff like that within the event itself. I didn't talk directly with the person or persons who run the convention center, but I know they were very frustrated with it too. I was very frustrated because I have a very loyal following that come to my bars, very loyal. That it's the best weekend of the year for me, anything over Irish Fest or Pride Fest or anything like that. So I was wondering too, in the process of all this, if we could get more attention maybe in the parking ramps, drive-throughs, whatever. We talked about maybe parking or ticketing people coming up on the sidewalks not to mix the scooter and the bike situation with this, but if there are slow times, maybe we can run people through the ramps. I'm not sure if there's cameras or anything like that, but again, I live, eat, and breathe downtown, and I just hear a lot, so I'm just passing that on to you guys. But again, I just want to also say thank you because, like I said, there is a lot of research and time and effort put into this. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else?
Matthew Carpenter, 518 Jefferson, Carpenter's Diner. Again, I thank everybody for their time. Jessica, Main Street. What it comes down to is going to be how this is enforced. I pulled an open records request a month ago and evaluated in my assumption of how our current parking company management, and it appeared to me that they were only fully staffed out of 24 months, 11 months. And I think that's ridiculous. I work downtown 6-7 days a week. I could see what's going on. We had a lady in the fall of 2023. She enforced parking. Great. She quit. We didn't have an enforcer for 5-6 months. And I think that's ridiculous. If we're going to come up with a new ordinance, it needs to be enforced. It needs to be enforced properly.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? All right, just really quickly, just for those, I know Main Street has done a really good job of trying to reach out to the downtown businesses, but just quickly for those that may not be reading, what we did do, we had conversation last time about anywhere from no time parking free on the streets to, I think I've even heard up to 90 minutes to free parking. And with that 90, tried to come in between that, and it's an hour of free parking. That free parking also will not include the way it's listed here. It has to be voted on by council, but it does not include you having to register at the kiosk or on the parking app. After that first hour, it'll be $1 per hour. And if you're in the spot for more than 4 hours, that rate will be raised. And that came with conversation that I had from downtown business owners, Main Street as well. The parking ramps, daily max of $6 per day. And if you do the math, and I think Main Street is going to put out some information that if you take a look at parking on the street, and versus the ability to park in the ramp, it's probably 3 to 4 times less than it is parking in the ramp. So you'll be able to see that difference as well. We are also moving to a more modernized system. I know folks have worked hard to find the suitable kiosks for us to be able to do it, and you'll still also be able to use the Park Waterloo app as well. So it's a new system that's been created. With enforcement, your first ticket, July 1st through June 30th, that will be just a warning ticket. This is an adjustment for people. And so the person that came down at one time, that person would receive a warning the first time. And then after that, we had, the last time we met was 20, it was thought about, and then it was 10 in between from what I heard some folks wanted. So the fine will be $15 for that first ticket, and then it moves up to after 30 days, it'll be 20 if it's not paid. The second one will be $30, and it moves up to 35 after 30 days. With regards to the parking ramps, we just had a conversation with our current provider, Reimagine, and they are putting together a proposal for some level of parking support and enforcement within the ramps, especially during those evening hours. So not only would they be able to partner with our police department for issues and things that's seen, but if something's not working in the ramp, you also will be able to contact that person as well. So security, we're working on. Other things with this, some other cities, if you have parking violations, I mean, if folks want to duplicate it to our other communities, if you have multiple fines in some cities, you receive a boot on your car. We are not going to do that. We were trying to figure out a way to come between things that we've heard from business owners to citizens that don't like receiving a ticket to those that just want to walk in somewhere and grab a quick cup of coffee and then be able to move about their way. And so that's why the proposal and what council wanted or folks wanted is to try to meet business owners somewhere in the middle. And so that's why that free hour is there. There's been a lot of conversation. I want to be very thankful to Main Street for very candid conversation, and Bridget and the team we put together internally, and then the conversations that we've had with business owners. But this is a way to modernize parking downtown. This is a way to meet businesses with the hour of free parking. This is a way to also, when you register through the Park Waterloo app, you get notified when that time frame is coming in for you to re-up on your parking. So we have met continuously with this to try to find a way to meet somewhere in the middle by also making sure that we provide a service and enforcement downtown as well. Council?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for speaking, everyone. This has been a long time coming. We've done a lot of research, had a lot of projects done. Thank you, Jessica and Main Street, for the work that you have done. Thank you, Parking Committee. Thank you very much, Bridget, our finance director, dealing with parking to such a degree that it probably needs to move to the traffic department. This is a challenging thing to do because you can't make everyone happy. But what we're trying to do with the city is look towards the future and see how is this going to look 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. We can't compare ourselves to Cedar Falls. We are not Cedar Falls. We have significant amounts of residents that live in our downtown, and we have shorter enforcement hours, and you don't have to pay on weekends. This one free hour is, I think, the first time in the history of Waterloo that you're going to have any type of free parking in downtown Waterloo on purpose. And we've eliminated about 1/3 of the parking area that's enforced in the first place. So the area near the library, near the sportsplex, those areas no longer have meters at all. And what is that? West of here on the north side of town, also nothing. There's no parking over there. You can walk if you really wanted to park over there and walk over. Also, our times are shorter. We are done at 5 here. So that means if you get that free hour of parking and you come by at 4, you have an hour of parking, you're done. You don't have to pay. So yes, this is different, but this is going to benefit us. People in my generation who we really need to get coming to downtown will enjoy this free hour, will come and visit your businesses. And one thing that John stated very clearly, not me, John, but John, the parking guy, that's what I call him now, stated was that parking does not attract people or detract people from coming somewhere. It's the activities and businesses that are downtown. People visit bars because they enjoy your bar and you do a great job hosting that bar. People come down to buy at your store because they enjoy the objects, I know I do, at your store. That's why we come to these places. And the parking is not an inhibitant for that. But what this will allow us to do is when we have big events and major events, and when we have to collect, and when we have to do these things, we can do them more effectively as a smart city. So when a giant event comes in downtown, we can give a code that says free parking if you use this code. We can make sure that we have accurate representations of how much money is coming in, because parking is a living document. It's not something we're going to deal with once. You're going to see this over and over and over, because we have to make sure we're evaluating this whole system. So that way we have good parking ramps, we have enforcement in those parking ramps, we make sure that we have access to businesses, and that people that are working or living downtown aren't just taking up the spots all day. Bridget and Mayor, thank you so much for the vast amounts of time and people you've had to talk to deal with this. This is not a simple thing, and nor does it end today, but at least this gives us the framework to build upon for the future as we continue to have more things happen downtown. This is another step into our smart city vision, part of that 2030 vision plan. So let's move forward. We will evaluate this again in a year and see how it's going. But the one thing that I think remains true is enforcement has to be good. That's really what we have to make sure we're aware of, is that enforcement works for this. Again, thank you. This has been a big project of my causing for a long time, and it's been a lot of work on you guys, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Council?
Just a quick question, sir. We're just voting on the ordinance change.
Right now.
Yes.
Because most of the stuff we talked about is in the next one.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure that we're not voting on both.
No, I didn't. Legally, we could. No, I'm kidding.
Very good, that's all I have.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Thank you.
Mayor,
Sir?
move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion been made with the second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
move to receive, file, and consider and pass for the second and third times and adopt said ordinance.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bozen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I move to adopt a resolution adopting 1 free hour of parking for both on-street and parking ramps. The rate of $1 per hour for on-street and parking ramps after the 1 hour free parking rate, a rate of $2 per hour for on-street parking after 4 hours, and a cap of $6 per day in the parking ramps, effective May 1st, 2025.
Second.
The motion has been made with the second. Any comments on this item? Bridget, what I forgot to mention, the ramps. What did we say? Okay, so what'll be coming soon? I had a conversation with another business owner, and she was concerned about, yeah, we may offer some type of deal if you get 10 spaces or whatever, but she asked if we could say that if you get 3 parking spaces, then there's some level of discount. And so we're trying to make sure that we continue to encourage people to be there by taking a look at our pricing when you buy a certain amount of slots, less slots than before. So that will be coming forth. But Madam Clerk, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. That, the multiple parking spots is listed in this.
This is in there, okay.
It is. From 3 to 7 is 5%, and 50 plus is 25%. But I had a couple questions on the hour free parking, because I thought you were gonna, and I found out this weekend that you don't have to register at the kiosk.
Right.
So then I emailed Bridget, and she said they're gonna do some digital chalking, where they're gonna use GPS, they're gonna do something, maybe that someone could address that, how that works.
Is there anyone want to speak to the digital chalking or how?
Hi, my name is Laura Lears. I'm with Republic Parking, also known as Reimagine Parking. So we do the parking for the city of Waterloo, Iowa. With the new system, we're introducing license plate recognition system. So it's the cameras that are on the vehicle today. So as they drive down the roadway or in the ramps, they'll capture the license plate on the car, and that's how they'll electronically chalk the vehicle.
So it'll mark them that they're not registered to pay.
So what it will do is on how it's going to go is it will go ahead and capture the license plate, and then the clock will start for that first hour free for that day. And then when we come back around again, it will then see how long they parked in the city. So they can technically move throughout the city for that first hour.
All right?
Yep.
Okay.
And-
So you can't, you can move, and they capture that license plate. You can't sit for 1 hour in this spot and then move over to the east side for another hour of free parking.
If they sit in one spot for an hour and then they move to the east side and we catch them, say, 2.5 hours later, and say they've not started a parking session, either gone to the pay station or the kiosk or gone to the app and started a session, then they would receive a ticket. Now, if it's their first one, they haven't received one before,
Right.
then it's going to get a warning on their car,
Sure.
a $0 one.
Okay.
Follows the plate, not the location.
Correct, it's going to follow the plate.
Okay, so, but my question is, let's say at 9:45, your driver drives the route. And now, if he doesn't come back until 11:45, and they could technically get 2 hours of free parking.
That's correct.
So what fail-safes do we have in your system then that this guy is going to be, or person is going to be doing these routes on a regular basis? Because he's also going to have to get out and write tickets,
Correct.
he or she.
So technically with the, we can either look at implementing additional enforcement ambassadors, that's what we refer to them as. So we can look at adding additional staffing, which would increase the contract value. Or with the mobile LPR as well, as we should be able to get through additional spaces or vehicles as we drive through a little faster than somebody manually going in and verifying each license plate.
Well, I would hope it'd be faster since we've narrowed our parking zone, so we've got less meters to deal with. Question again on the.
Well, so traditionally, right, when you think about it, if somebody's going in and having to manually type in a license plate, it does take longer.
Okay.
Right, than driving.
So on the 4 hours before it changes, is that 1 hour free parking plus 4 hours and then it changes, or is it 4 hours total and it changes? Because it
4
wasn't.
hours total, and then it changes.
I heard, but I was curious because it's not listed. I mean, it just says 4 hours, and I was curious if the hour of free parking is on top of that. So basically, you're getting, if you got an hour free parking, you got to pay for 3 hours at $1 an hour, and then $2 an hour after that.
Yes.
Okay. And my last question is, do we have a plan in place to paint parking places? And the reason I ask, so designated parking places, like right now, people know where to park because of the meters. Park in front of the meter, park behind the meter. But if we don't have lines on the road, and the only reason I'm throwing that out.
Delineating the line spaces, I see what you're saying.
And the reason I say that is that what I don't want is over by the convention center, people parking 15 feet apart. And they're legal to park there, but we are also losing 4 or 5 parking spaces in that block.
Parks on East 4th Street and West 4th Street. Okay.
So that's what I'm asking is this, if there's something that our traffic and sign guys, our line painting guys could do in the downtown area to delineate parking spaces. That's it. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if someone does not register and then they go register, is the app able to delineate that that person has already used their hour for free?
Because we're not requiring any longer for them to register for the free hour.
Right.
So when they do register, it would be for paying for parking.
So the app will know you've already captured this license plate downtown. It's been there for an hour. You can't get your free hour unregistered and then register and get another free hour.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
And then just really quickly, thank you for being here. We had a very informational meeting last week, so appreciate you being here. But just one last question before we indulge in St. Patty's Day. Can you tell me how did things change before? How did they know if somebody was out of compliance or needed the meter? How do they do it now versus how they do it with the kiosk? Will it be faster? Will it be more efficient? But what's going to change with actually enforcing?
Yeah, so in the meters that you have today, they don't accept credit cards, so they're coin only. So the new kiosks that you have today that will be installed, sorry, they will accept credit cards. So we've noticed that a lot of people do tend to now use their credit cards to make payments, right, instead of having to rely more on coins.
Well, I mean, right now, right now on these parking meters, if some time has expired, is there a buzzer that goes off at the parking ramp that Jerry gets and sees that? How do you know someone's parking thing
It's
has
just
been-
from the enforcement ambassador walking around.
But you
and
have to
looking.
walk around.
Correct.
And how is that going to be once we get the new system in?
So it's still going to be having to be, they're still going to need to walk around because there won't be anything there that will visually have a buzzer or anything. But with the vehicle that drives around, as it looks at the license plate, it will inform the enforcement ambassador that vehicle no longer has a valid parking session. So it's
you
going to be
drive
more of a-
around, you see it, and then they go and cite it.
Correct,
Right
yeah,
now,
it's-
you're walking around each one and citing.
Correct. So today as when it's implemented, as the officer enforcement ambassador, is driving, there's more of like a red light, green light. So as the license plate's captured, it will either show a green, meaning that vehicle has a valid parking session, so they paid the meter or the app, or they have a valid permit to park, or it will show a red light, meaning that vehicle is currently in a violation.
Okay.
And so additional research needs to be done
A
on
little
it.
bit more efficient in some aspects,
Correct.
right? Okay. Council, anything else? All right, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Bowsen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Wilder?
Yes.
Mr. Foyce?
All right, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion been made with second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you all. Thank all of you for.